help, provide fans more year-round quality MMA events, and that's what we're focused on. And then before again, questions for the athletes. 2023. So after this Friday on championship, yes, history will be made, but we are going to focus. You're going to see the PFL lean in and double down on the number of live events in 2023. We'll have 5 fight franchises, 26 live events, in addition to other year-round content. And our focus is year-round engagement and experience for fans. It's the top athletes in the world. But these 5 franchises, starting with the Combine. So, what's the Combine in MMA? Just think NFL Combine meets NBA meets MMA. Invitation only, invitation only event where Ray Sefo and the team get to analyze fighters' mental, physical capability inside and outside the cage. It's all about discovery of new talent. So we're really excited about the Combine. And then secondly, the PFL Challenger Series on Fubo. We launched this series last year with our partner Fubo TV. It was the inaugural season. The format was also new to MMA. We're talking about think American Idol meets MMA. We had icons of the sport along with fans weigh in on who should get, which fighters should get, based on their performance, should get a contract with the PFL. So that was a new format, 8 events. We'll be bringing that back in 2023. That premieres Friday, January 27th, 8 consecutive Friday nights for early stage pro fighters who are looking to not only get a contract, but to aspire to get into the league season in 2023. And then following the Challenger Series, those 8 events will then kick off the 2023 league season on ESPN, every event on ESPN linear main network, as well as simulcast on ESPN Plus. Each one of our events, the regular season will start in April and run through June. We'll be back in August for the playoffs, and sometime the latter part of next year, we'll be back with the championship. And it's very likely the championship will be executed outside the U.S. Next year, also on pay-per-view. And so that gives you a sense of what's coming. But after, when you think about Combine, Challenger Series, league season, and then we have pay-per-view events. And in pay-per-view events, while the championship here is going to be on pay-per-view, the PFL, we're launching a super fight pay-per-view division. These are big co-main events. Fighters, fans want to see fights that will go down in history. Major needle mover talent combined with uniquely curated cards. The super fight division will have nothing to do with the season format. It'll really focus on fights and fighters fans want to see. So we're very excited about that. We'll be sharing those details in the early part of next year. And then what I'm really excited about is international expansion. And while we distribute our product, as I mentioned, to 160 countries around the world, we're focused on advancing and growing the sport and giving fighters throughout different countries around the world and regions opportunity to compete regionally in their countries against top talent from those regions, staged in those countries, presented in live in prime time on major media platforms. Earlier this year, we announced PFL Europe, which will be the first of 6 regional PFL leagues around the world that will be executing within the next 3 years. So PFL Europe was made possible in partnership with the Zone. We're really proud of that new and growing relationship. And our vision of the sport is to execute these regional events or regional leagues, giving these fighters an opportunity to become champions of those regions. And then we'll activate pan-regional competition. But the top talent in these regional leagues will then have a clear path and an opportunity to get to PFL Global. So essentially making or creating the Champions League of MMA. That is our focus. I mean, in many parts of the world, hope is the athlete's strategy. And the PFL is there to solve that, to create a true professional system in sport to develop talent at different stages of their career and ladder it up. So we're very excited about that. That's what we're investing in. We're investing in the brand. We're investing in the product, these events, but we're also investing in fighters around the world. And we know fans want access to more of this content. So, I can't tell you how and how proud I am of what our organization has achieved in a very short amount of time. In less than 5 years, we are in this position. And in 5 years' time, we will be not only number 2, but truly a co-leader in the sport. This will be an Olympic sport. We have Olympians right here in our league, right here on the stage, and we're excited also about advancing that cause. And so I'll wrap it up here. Olympic champion. 4. Multiple. Of course. So, but what I would say is, beyond what's going to happen on Friday, we couldn't be prouder and more thrilled to be in this game today. It is the fastest growing sport in the world. We are the fastest growing league in the world, and so much more to come, from the PFL for fighters and fans. And one last announcement here before I turn it to one of the best play-by-play guys in the business, Sean O'Connell, and he'll be taking questions from the media and giving the fighters an opportunity to share what they're thinking about right now. But Wiz Khalifa, who's a PFL investor, he's part of our ownership group, obviously award-winning music artist. He's going to be opening up the show in Madison Square Garden at the Blue Theater on Friday night in grand fashion. He'll kick it off big. And now I'd like to throw it to Wiz because he wants to share a few words with us.
Yo, what up, Pete? Thanks for the love. I've been a huge fan of PFL and MMA for a very long time, and it's been an absolute honor to join this league as an owner, and I'm beyond geeked up for the championship and watching our fighters battle it out for those $1 million bags. Friday, November 25th, the PFL World Championship, Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. Me and Taylor Gang will be in the building, not only to watch the 6 world title fights, but we'll also be hitting the PFL stage for a special live performance. To all my fans in New York, make sure you guys come out and catch me. And to the fans that can't make it, make sure you tune in to ESPN Plus pay-per-view.
Should I translate the answer?
Thank you, Wiz. Okay, so in closing, I wish our champion fighters, the best of luck in 2 days on Friday night, live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. We're looking forward to an exciting event. And now I'll turn it to Sean O'Connell to open up the dialogue. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it.
Thanks everyone for being here. Obviously, we're very excited about what's coming up on Friday, not only because it's our championship, but because it's our first venture into pay-per-view. And I'm jealous of these fighters. I have really positive, strong memories of fighting at the Hulu Theater for a championship. So these days are pretty special, and I hope everyone's acknowledging that and soaking in these moments. It's really, really cool. You do have a responsibility to carry this organization into the pay-per-view era, which is more pressure than ever in the field as a fighter. But I guess that's neither here nor there. We're going to open things up for the media here in a second, but I wanted to start the conversation with our main event. And Kayla, this is being billed as the biggest rivalry in the PFL. It's the 3rd time you fought Larissa Pacheco, but I think it's safe to say, even though you beat her twice, she's a very different fighter on a 5-fight winning streak that includes 5 finishes. And the question with you, whether it's fair or not, is what will happen if Kayla Harrison gets hit hard for the first time in your career? We haven't seen you tested in that manner. So, what is the answer to that question? What happens if Kayla Harrison gets hit by the power we've seen from Larissa Pacheco?
Can you call it a rivalry if you've never won a round? I don't know if that's fair. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on Larissa. It's not a rivalry. She has nothing to lose. Just because you don't see me get hit in a fight doesn't mean I don't get hit. I train hard. I train harder than pretty much anyone I know, and I put in the work so that on fight night it looks easy. So I get hit. I'm not worried about getting hit. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna instill my will, 1 round at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 exchange at a time, 1 breath at a time, and I'm gonna break her.
Main event, very excited for that. Our co-main events, 2 rising featherweights who I think are at their very best that we've ever seen in their career. Bubba Jenkins. We talked about Brendan Loughnane as being a pure striker and a guy that you beat with wrestling. to get to this fight, he negated a powerful wrestler, a guy that you fought in Chris Wade, and showed that his wrestling is no longer a weakness in this game. So if wrestling is no longer the advantage in this fight that it might have been had this fight taken place a couple of years ago, how do you beat Brendan Loughnane?
I'm fighting for $1 million in the World Championship, and we've done everything in this camp to be as well-rounded as we possibly can be. This is the biggest stage of mixed martial arts, and I have done an amazing job showing all of my mixed martial arts abilities. So I think with 25 minutes on the clock, and as smart and athletic and technical as I am, I believe I will be putting on all of my attributes on display.
Brendan, the flip side of that coin, right, is that your striking advantage, Bubba has shown that he is a complete mixed martial artist this season. He's really come on. The Ryoji Kudo fight especially, we saw some fine work from him in the stand-up. So if you don't have the distinct striking advantage now that you might have had in the past, same question for you. How do you impose your will on a man like Bubba Jenkins?
I just truly believe I'm a better mixed martial artist all round. I'm doing this shit longer. And so if it's my night, that's it.
Another guy who's had a really incredible journey in 2022, Delano Taylor, a newcomer to the league, started, as Pete mentioned, on our Challenger Series, and then was not guaranteed a spot on the regular season roster. Got a late notice fight, and another late notice fight, and then an opponent change or two, and obviously beat one of the legends of the sport in knocking out Rory McDonald to earn his way to this chance. Delano, having had to fight an extra fight over the season format and the Challenger Series just to get here, now the opportunity is in front of you for a championship and $1 million, but we have to get through one of our most experienced guys, someone who's been through this format, now his 4th season with the PFL. Is it an advantage for you that you had the extra fight this year? Is it an advantage for you that the expectations are, fair or not as high for Delano Taylor?
How does that go? I wouldn't say it's an advantage that I have an extra fight, because people don't understand. It's not just this extra fight this year. You have to try for my fight here. My last fight was December last year. Technically, I've had 5 fights already in December 6 for my fight calendar. So I think the only advantage I have really is that I'm packing. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who can me. If you get your hand up.
And Sadabu, you've been here as a middleweight, you made the transition to welterweight, and now you're in the championship for the first time. That's a lot of pressure. How do you handle it?
How you guys doing? It's been crazy ride since 2018. I believe that the experiences that I've been going through from the first season until today is gonna play a big part. I believe the experience is gonna show. I'm not only talking about like I have maybe 90 fights in most of the years. I think so. Yeah, it's
Yeah, Tom. He's up.
I have maybe 90 fights in the continental tires, so that experience is gonna come with me as well.
Great fights coming up. I'm going to get out of your way. You're the media. You probably have better questions than I do, so I will get out of your way, turn the floor over to our gathered media, and I'll be back in just a few minutes. So please, keep the questions coming, and we'll see you in a bit.
Kayla, I just want to start with you because you're in kind of a unique position here, right? You're going for your 3rd world title, which is incredible, but you've done this twice already, and we know next season you're focusing on something different with super fights. So I guess, what does this fight mean for you?
Oh, I'm excited for Friday night, man. I can't wait. It's been a great camp for me. I feel like I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I feel calm. I feel ready. I feel like a killer. And I know that on the other side of this fight are a lot of good things. I was joking with Sean in the back. He was like, so what? Aren't you going to go crazy if you don't fight 4 times? I was like, you know how like wives make honey-do lists for you, like honey do this, honey do that? I got one of those for myself, so I'm gonna be pretty busy and looking forward to spending time with my kids, but the focus is Friday night, I gotta get through that and Pacheco, and then it'll be good.
In your judo career, I know you faced the same opponent like multiple times, right? So I'm just curious, like, what's the biggest key in that, right? Because I mean, on the one side, I guess there's familiarity, but on the other hand, like you can get complacent and be like, well, I beat her twice, like I got this. I guess what's the biggest key to remaining successful when you're facing the same opponent multiple times?
I mean, I think for me, it's always been about staying humble and staying hungry. You know, I know that she's young, she's hungry, she's a killer in her own right. She's got nothing to lose, and she's coming to take my head off. And I think about that every time I maybe don't want to train, or I maybe don't want to go for a run, or I maybe want to sleep in. I think about that, you know, and I stay a dog. I stay working harder. I stay grinding because she's coming for me. And if I'm not completely prepared, and I make a mistake, she's going to capitalize. So it's my job to be the best version of Kayla Harrison for every night.
And last thing for you, Kayla, I mean, obviously, Sean mentioned, you know, the start of pay-per-view. I mean, it's a whole company effort, right? I mean, you're certainly one of the faces of the company. Do you feel like personal responsibility for the success of that, or like, does it add anything to you that like, hey, I gotta make this thing work?
I mean, in all honesty, no, just because I wasn't, it's not like I'm in on the board meetings where they say, hey, we're gonna make this a pay-per-view. You know, my job is to fight and to win and to go out there and showcase my skills and put on a show in that way, but I don't feel responsible to, my paycheck's the same, right? Everyone's paycheck's the same on Friday night.
Fair enough. And for Larissa, if I could, Larissa, obviously you've fought Kayla twice before. I'm just curious kind of what you're expecting for the third time around. Are you expecting to see the same fighter? I know you prided yourself in the changes you made since then. Do you think she's the same or she's changed?
Larissa, você já lutou com a Keila duas vezes, nessa terceira. Como é que você vê essa luta? Assim, você falou que você mudou muito. Você vai mudar o seu jogo dela também?
Sim, eu não vejo muita mudança no jogo dela, mas acredito que a gente vai fazer um grande combate. Ela quer isso tanto quanto ela quer se manter campeã e eu quero me tornar campeã. Então eu treinei muito para isso e acredito que a gente vai chegar lá e vai dar um show.
I don't see a lot of changes in her game. All I know is she wants this as much as I do. She wants to stay champion. I want to become a champion. All I know is we're going to put on a great show Friday night.
And last thing for me, for Larissa, what would mean more to you? Would it be becoming a champion or would it be being the first person to beat Kayla Harrison?
O que significaria mais para você? Se tornar campeão ou ser a primeira pessoa a ganhar daqui?
Acho que as duas coisas, né? Eu quero tanto me tornar campeã quanto eu quero essa revanche. Eu acho que ela já está na vantagem, já ganhou duas vezes, acho que agora é a minha vez. Me preparei para isso, então essa é a meta.
I think these two things go hand in hand. It's like a combo. Kayla's, you know, she got the upper hand at this point in time. She won two. I think this is my time. I've worked hard for this one.
Other questions for Stevie? You mentioned that about 4 years ago you trained with OAM, and I'm just curious if you could talk to me a little bit about that and what weaknesses you saw in him that maybe he still might have.
Yeah, we trained together. The last time would have been 4 years ago. I went to TriStar a few times, so we've done a little bit of work together. Not too much. I mean, we've rolled together. We've done a couple of sparring sessions. I wouldn't say there's been anything to take from it. Anything that we've done sparring, you would see watching the other person's fights anyway. I mean, you can watch his fights to see what kind of fighter he is, what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and then obviously training together, you see that as well. So I wouldn't say we've done too much together, and yeah, like I said, the last time would have been over 4 years ago. Yeah, so not too much happened. I'm not sure how obviously he feels, but yeah. And that's the fight game, you know. Sometimes you fight people you've trained with, sometimes you have to fight your friends, and when there's $1 million on the line, it doesn't matter who's in front of me, I'm going to try and knock him out.
I want to ask OAM the same question. He says he wasn't sure how you felt about your training with him, but do you have any comments?
Actually found some video of us and it was interesting because he did some mistake in those videos that we didn't see. No, I'm kidding, I don't have We were trying to get it, but it was 4 years ago. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? It's gonna be the case that anything can happen. And like you said, we were friends, and we are good friends this weekend, but we're gonna come up again after. Please agree with that. But, yeah.
And I also wanted to ask, you mentioned that this might be your last season and potentially your last fight. Does that make you a more dangerous opponent?
Well, for sure. I mean, like I'm always going this person, but there's something special about this fight that for sure it's probably the biggest fight of my career, and I see that not one as a it's going to say about my life is useless, and then I come back, probably like 90% of fighters actually. So let's see what happens.
And I've got one last question for both Bubba and Brendan. On Monday, you guys were at the Empire State Building and you were having fun with each other, joking around. How do you turn that off and want to fight each other?
I've been fighting all the time since 2008. I fought friends, I fought people I hate, I fought good competitors, bad competitors, you name it, I've been there. I actually was on The Ultimate Fighter and shared a bed, not a bed, I shared a bunk bed with a guy after 8 weeks, and then we had to fight each other. So that's, you know what I mean, it's Bubba's a great guy. I'm not going to sit here and like, oh, I hate him, this and that, and try and make up some fake whatever for all you guys, but I will try and punch a hole in his head on Friday night, and he'll do the same to me, and we'll all enjoy watching it.
Love him or like him, I'm definitely going to knock his head off for $1 million. I grew up with Lance Palmer. We've been wrestling in different tournaments in middle school, elementary school, things like that. And for less than $1 million, I tried to knock his ass out. So being that he's an English guy, not a guy I grew up with, not an actual foe, but also someone that's sitting on the other side of the cage with me. I like him. I love my children. So it's him or them, and he got to go. He got to go.
Anik Subramanian, Fightbook MMA. Omari, I had a question for you. After a challenging 2021, you've had a terrific season this year. What changes did you make in your training camp and lifestyle?
Амари, вопрос вам. У вас были небольшие проблемы в 2021 году, а сейчас у вас очень успешный сезон, все продвигается. Вы что-то изменили в своем подходе, в тренировке? За что вы благодарите свои успехи в этом году?
Да, я к этому готовился с большими своими партнерами, были больше дня. Да, я больше начал тренироваться. Проигрыши я просто не могу.
I believe possibly in 2021 I didn't feel enough pressure. That took me a little time to warm up. This year I've been having more fights. Specifically coming to this fight with Robert, I was mostly training with heavier partners because it's a little bit different weight advantage for him. So whatever precautions I needed in style and partners, I applied this year, and I think I'm in the best shape right now.
And thank you. Rob, MMA in Oceania has been on the rise in the last 10 years. We have former UFC champions in Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. What would it mean to bring another belt back to the Oceania region?
Yeah, it'd be awesome to be the first Australian to bring back a PFL World Championship, the third ever champion from Australia worldwide, so yeah, really awesome.
Hey, Mr. Postman, loving the kicks today. Just wanted to ask you, did you get your cronut yet?
Unfortunately, no, I have not gotten the cronut yet, but it's on the way.
That's okay, man. We're going to have you covered. After fight day, we'll have them for you. We'll make sure that you're covered. And we're fighting for the cronuts. You know, no matter what, each guy's going to get one, but the winner gets the rest.
That's all I like to hear.
Don't worry, we're bringing up for everyone. Don't worry, we'll share.
Okay.
And then Sadibu, I wanted to ask, we actually had Coach Nixick on our show recently, and I was curious, was there anything different, being from a striking background, was there anything you picked up working with the camp that has a little bit more of a wrestling background to use offensively in your game?
First and foremost, like you mentioned his kicks, so
Uh-oh, I didn't see yours, okay, all right. Thank you, sir.
I brought it, so I wanted to.
Love it, love it.
Okay. So I came to Vegas in January, one-way ticket from Sweden. I had no idea how long I was going to stay. The guys put me in and made me feel at home, and I'm enjoying and I'm enjoying with these guys, and it's been amazing. For me, just be with like-minded people, like some days you wake up, you don't feel like training, you don't feel like, but you just see the other guys in the gym pushing and you just follow the lead, and it's been amazing. And I believe that you guys can show the improvement and what you call it, the evolution all the time.
Thank you.
Hunter, last year you were very close to get the title, to get the $1 million. What's the biggest lesson you bring to this season?
Znači, prošle godine bio si blizu da osvojiš titulu. Šta si još dodao da ovu godinu osvojiš?
Mislim da sam prošle godine bio na neki 56% svoje mogućnosti, jednostavno nije išlo. Smatram to neuspjehom drugo mjesto. Ove godine sam spreman na svoje vjerovanje.
Last year he was at about 50 to 60% of his skills, but this year he's full prepared and ready to take the belt.
Matheus, ano atrás você estava lutando por uma vaga no Contender Series e agora você está a um passo de conquistar $1 milhão. Como se preparar mentalmente para uma virada de mesa tão grande, tão rápida?
Fala em português ou traduz depois aqui. So the question was the same question that was asked for Ante.
Eu acho que tudo acontece na vida de uma maneira que ela tem que acontecer. Eu acho que eu não estava preparado para aquela situação, mas a vida é engraçada. Acho que eu estou aqui, eu tenho que estar hoje. Estou muito feliz de estar aqui no PFL. Esse é meu primeiro ano como peso pesado e meu primeiro ano sendo finalista. Depois eu vou por $1 milhão, então acho que isso compensa aquela levada contigo lá. Não era para eu estar lá, pensa naquela luta, era para eu estar aqui, nessa entrevista para vocês hoje.
Everything in life happens for a reason. I look at all my wins and all my losses, and the turbulent 2021 I had as things that drew me and took me to where I am right now. I was not supposed to win those fights, and you know, these things all culminated in me being here right now answering the question.
É uma revanche, você já enfrentou ele. O que muda? Qual o segredo para trazer a vitória diante de um atleta que já te venceu?
This is a rematch. What changes do you make to your game in order to beat a guy who's beaten you before?
Eu confesso que eu estava um pouco deslumbrado com a grandiosidade do PFL. Eu não lutei bem. Fiz algumas mudanças, na verdade, aquela luta que eu perdi com o Ante me fez fazer várias mudanças no meu treino. E eu acho que o resultado condiz com as mudanças que eu fiz. Então, sexta-feira vocês vão ver um Matheus totalmente diferente. Essa é a primeira vez na minha vida que eu só treino. Eu tinha que trabalhar antes, eu tinha que dar aula, fazer minhas coisas. Então, essa é a primeira vez na minha vida que eu fiquei 3 meses só treinando, tendo esse cara na minha cabeça todo dia. Então, eu vou dar tudo de mim lá.
I've made some critical changes in my game ever since the last fight. I must confess, my fight week here at the PFL for my first fight, I was kind of in awe with everything and with how great this opportunity was to eventually be potentially fighting for $1 million. And my team and I got together after that loss and we made changes, and you can see the results that came from those changes with my 2 wins that came shortly after. this has been the first time in my entire career as a mixed martial artist that I've been able to solely focus on training. I've not had to teach classes, I've not had to have side gigs or work on other things. I've focused the past 3 months strictly in beating this guy that's sitting right next to me.
Last one for me. Kalen, you were just talking about in judo, it's usual for you fighting the same opponent multiple times. In MMA is not very common, but would you mind to compare how important was for you fighting Mayra Aguiar multiple times and Larissa multiple times to develop your skills in judo and MMA?
Yeah, man, there's always a Brazilian bringing out the best in me, isn't there? Something about you guys. No, you know, for sure. I fought Myra, I want to say maybe 16 times or something like that in my judo career. And every time, you know, it's funny how sometimes you fight to your level, right? Whatever you're faced with, sometimes you fight to that level. Like if you fight someone maybe with not as good skills as you, sometimes you don't perform as good as you can. But when you have a great opponent, it brings out the best in you. And Myra always did that for me in judo, and I feel like Larissa does that as well for me in MMA. You know, she is, by all means, she is a very skilled opponent. She's a great fighter. She has more experience than me. She's been doing this since she was much younger than me. She obviously has better striking than me and hits harder than me. She's a black belt. She has excellent submission defense. She's the toughest person I've ever faced. And I'm grateful for that because it gives me the opportunity to dig deep and to figure out a way to win again. So it's Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be grateful for, and I'm grateful for Larissa Pacheco.
Hi, my question is for Brandon Loughnane. This is Chris Trafford from Combat Sports UK. It seems that the UK is entering into another golden era, and you're widely regarded as one of the best UK featherweights in the world, if not featherweights in the world. What would it mean to bring another championship to Manchester area?
I mean, absolutely everything to me. I'm a proud Mancunian, and can I just say, it's going to be a very, very good day for England. Yeah, on Friday, going to be football and world titles. I like that one.
You're very well. Stevie Ray, you're also looking for the next UK championship and to become the first Scottish champion. You've overcame so much adversity to get to where you are today. What would it mean to be the next and first Scottish champion?
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Like you said, I've overcome a lot of adversities before. You know, won fights that people doubted me, and here I am today. And yeah, I've always believed in myself and knew that I'm capable of being able to do this. And I feel like, you know, this has been my destiny, and it was meant to be. And Friday night, I've trained my arse off. You know, I'm in shape, I'm healthy. I'm gonna, you know, fight like there's no tomorrow, and obviously, hopefully, get the win. And I'm proud to represent Scotland and the UK.
What's up, Bubba? Dylan Rush from Fight Club over here. You've been known to come up clutch in the most crucial moments of your career, becoming a national champion with ASU in 2011, getting a first-round finish in the semifinal of these playoffs. Now you're fighting for $1 million and a world championship title. What is it about these big moments that helps you thrive and shine under the bright lights?
The lights are bright, but I got a sharp fuse. Been handling this game so long, my thumb's bruised. And that's it.
And then lastly, Rob Wilkinson. I was talking to Brandon Royval last night. He told me that like 6 people at Factory X grew mustaches earlier in this year to show support for you. What can you tell me about Coach Mark Montoya and the support system you have over there in Colorado?
Yeah, Mark's an amazing coach, and I've been there for since my first fight, so about 8 months now. Everyone's super friendly there, and I think we're going to have a few people with fake instructions in the crowd as well.
Okay, thanks for the questions, everybody. And
Não vai ser igual, só tem 2 centímetros